Hi everyone, Zach here, and welcome to lesson 28 in this series on developing a survival game. In this video, we will create and begin to implement our equipment menu. We will continue to work on implementation of this menu in the last two videos of this section. This video and this series have been brought to you by my Patreon sponsors, and with that said, open up your project and let's get started. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the editor. And in today's video, we're going to set up our equipment system menu. So we have three main steps. One is actually making the menu, two is making the functions for the menu, and three is implementing the menu in our inventory UI. So to start, let's go to our widget elements. Let's go to equipment. Let's create a new widget blueprint. So this will be WBP equipment menu. Let's pop it open and let's pin it into the correct window. From there, we are going to set our screen size to desired. We are going to delete our canvas panel, like we did in section 2 of this series. And then we are going to find a size box. We will drop that there. We will call this our equipment menu size box. And we will set a width override only of 150. Then we will put two borders in, like before, one inside the other. So we have our outer border and our inner border. So this will be our equipment menu outer border, and I'm going to get bothered by the fact that I missed the A there. Like usual, we'll just set the alpha to 0.6. Everything else will remain the same, and I'm just going to copy the name, paste that into our inner border. Yep, I'll ignore that warning. Inner border. And our inner border will have our darker gray, or one of our darker grays, which is 0.073 by 0.073 by 0.073 with an alpha of 1. Everything else will remain the same. We'll do a vertical box now. The vertical box will be our equipment option, or our equipment anchor, or equipment options anchor. We will change nothing on this. We'll put 3 buttons into here, and we'll start with just one though. We will select this button. We will change the padding on this to have 5 on the top. Actually, we'll just do 5 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and then we'll put a custom text in there. We'll take care of the text in just a moment. Select both the button and the text, copy and paste it in 3 times, select the middle button, and on the middle button, get rid of the padding on the top. Set that to 0. All right, select the first button. This will be our equip or EQ discard button. We'll change nothing else on this. We will go over to our text, and this will be our EQ discard button text. We will have the words discard in there. As for our font size, we will change it to 16. And I should probably have done the font size for all these originally, but sorry about that. A little late now. It'll be EQ info button for our second button. Everything else will remain the same here as well. The text will be our EQ info button text, and we'll just type in the word info. We will again change the font size to 16. And finally, for our last button, it will be our EQ cancel button. And I'll be a little smarter this time and copy the name, paste it into here, put the word text in, and it will just say cancel. Sorry I flew through this, but this part is relatively simple. Ooh, I did make one small mistake. You can see it right now. There should be no padding on the top of this button, so we should change that to 0. But we do want a padding of 5 on the bottom. There we go. So we now have an even padding between the buttons and an even padding at the top and bottom. Go ahead and compile. I don't know why I hit save. It auto compiles on my version of this. In here, we're going to get rid of, so this is now step 2, setting up the functions within the button. We're going to get, or within the menu. We're going to get rid of our 3 sort of default events, and we're going to create one new function right away. And this will be our set up references. And in our setup references, we are going to create 2 new variables. And just really quickly before I forget, let's put this into components. That way we just have them out of the way. Our 2 new variables will be references for our inventory actor and our inventory widget. So we'll do inventory actor, which will be of type actor. So look for that beige circle that turns blue. Of course, it turns blue because it's a object reference there. And this will go into our category of references. Let's go ahead and set that one right at the start there. Like usual, pull off that pin, plug into our reference or into our setup references input pin there, or start pin. Never sure what to call that actually. And then we'll do inventory widget ref. And this one will be a bit different. We're going to have our WBP inventory UI. It will also be a reference. We will set it the same way. Pull off of there or drop it there. Pull off of it, plug into our start pin, put a lovely little reroute in, and then, of course, a return node. All right, go ahead, compile, save, go back to the event graph. In the event graph, what we're going to do is we're going to select the cancel button. We're going to do on clicked, and we're going to create a function. We'll collapse it down in just a moment. Now, to do this correctly, what we need to do is we need to actually set something up in our inventory widget. So we're going to pause here for a moment. We're going to go over to our inventory widget. And in our inventory widget, we go to the graph. In our graph, we are going to create a new function. And this function will be set equipment panel enabled. We are going to find our equipment panels. So we have a weapon anchor, grab that, get it. We have a equipment slots anchor. Just gonna make sure these are the right ones by going to the graph again. Equipment slot anchor, yep. And our weapons slot anchor, or weapons anchor that don't have the word slots in there. Probably should, to be, consistent. But here we are. Search for set is enabled. Plug that in. You can plug that into there as well. Plug that into there. And we'll get rid of the word in and just do B. Actually, now let's leave it as is. Do a return node here. Compile, save. Go back to your menu or your equipment menu. And in your equipment menu, what we're going to do is we're going to take our inventory widget reference here. And we are going to set inventory panel enabled. That's true. We want the inventory panel enabled when we close this widget. Likewise, we want to enable the other panel as well, because we're going to disable it when we open this menu. So set equipment panel enabled, again, mark true. Plug that into there, or line that up to there. Put some reroutes in. We are going to do set visibility. We want to be hidden when we close this menu. We want to, from here, continue on and do display details. We want that to be hidden as well, just in case it's already open, because we will have the ability to open that up in our menu. That is what this info button will do. It will display that. We want to then clear out other things that we'll have. We'll have two things we're going to create later on, and they're going to be our item info, because we're going to pass that for this, and if this menu is active. So we're going to create one real quick called item details ref, which will be of f item details. It will be a reference. I don't think I put it in references elsewhere, but I can't remember where I put it elsewhere now. And we'll do that. And then we'll have one called b is active. Based on the name, you can guess it's a Boolean, and thus will go into our bool folder. And we will set this to false here. Select all these nodes, collapse down to function. This will be our close menu function. Pop that back open, line that up, and now put the return node in. All right, with that done, we are done with what we're gonna do for this for now. We'll take care of the discard and info and swapping our items or equipment in a later video. What we want to do now is make this, go on to step 3 and make this actually show up. So we want to implement it. Let's go to our WBP inventory UI. Let's go to our event graph, or sorry, not our event graph, our designer. And in our designer, what we're going to do is we're going to search for, I'm just going to start minimizing these, by the way, so I can see more easily what everything is. We are going to search for our equipment menu. So we have an equipment menu in here. There we go. And we can just drag this onto the canvas panel. And let's select it. Let's size to content. I'm not going to worry about the name too much. I am going to anchor it to the far right. I'm going to set this, and these values do follow along until you have understood the math we're going to use, to 410 by -100. Leave everything else as is for now. We will default this to hidden. And what we're going to do is we're going to move this menu's location based on which button is pressed, which is why we have it centered here for now. Go back to the graph, and on the graph what we're going to do is, well, first let's just move that to the side, close all to the right. We are going to do a custom event called move equipment menu. Right. This will need one input node, which will be of type WBP equipment slot, just like we did for our system up here, except for the difference is we don't have a uniform grid, so we can't move it as easily. We have to sort of work out where to set it, and that's a little bit trickier. So we're gonna first need to reset the position to 0. So when we move it, we're gonna be moving this position around. This is our 0 spot right now. So let's grab our menu, and let's also put it in the category of menus. Not mouse. Ooh, that was the wrong thing. Menus. We're going to set render translation to 0 by 0. So again, this is just resetting its location. So let's just comment that out. Reset menu location. From there, what we need to do is we need to set the render translation again. So we're just going to duplicate those 2 nodes over here, and this is where we want it to be. So let's just make a vector 2D real quick here. So how do we do this? Well, we need to get the index of our particular menu item. So index ref. We need to know 3 things. We need to know if it's on the left or the right. We need to know if we need to move it up or down, and we need to know if we need to align it based on it being on the left or right. And the reason for that is if we have it on the right side here for the left hand menus, that's fine, but if we have it on the right hand side for the right hand menus, we're off screen. So we have a little bit of adjustments to do. So we're going to use our index ref, and we need to know first, is it less than 3? Sorry, is it greater than 3? Not less than 3. Is it greater than 3? I'm going to put a rerouting because I know I'm going to need to come off that 2 more times. And if it is, well, that's going to affect our x. And the x is the easier of the 2. We just have a simple select, and we select based on that float. In fact, we're actually going to use this in all of our cases. So this is the most important part, is this little set right here. And actually, I'm going to cheat a bit. I want all those lined up. And what we're going to do, if it's, let's think about it this way. Let me just move the render translation. So that's our x value right there. That's our left and our right. So we're going into our x with that, as you can see. Negative numbers move it to the left. Positive numbers move it to the right. So going into our x, negative numbers to the left. If it's greater than 3, that's to the right. So we want a positive number. And after trial and error, I worked out it to 124, which is the size of our icon. And to our left, I've worked out it's negative 732. So this is left, false, true, right. After that, we're going to have another select node. Actually, we're going to have 3 select nodes, so let's get all 3 set up. Each of these will pull off of this check here. But what we do with the check will vary on each of these. All right, so for this one, this is our up and our down. Let's go back to our designer for a moment. And let's see with our render translation what's up and down. So negative, or positive is down, negative is up. So remember, negative is up. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna take this and we're gonna convert it over to a float in the case of false. There we go. As for our trues, what we're gonna do is we are going to, again, actually I'm just gonna bring another rewrite down here. We are going to do a integer minus integer, and we're gonna minus, that was the wrong direction, integer minus integer, and we're gonna minus by 4. And the reason for 4 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the height, it's the difference between these heights. So we have 4 on this side, 3 on this side, but they're not equally aligned. So we're going to use that for our true. There we go. Line those up. And then for our, so this is our comment, up, stroke, down alignments. As for this last one here, this is alignment based on left or right hand side. All we're doing simply here is if it is left hand side, we aren't going to change the, or sorry, right hand side, we aren't going to change the alignment. We're going to leave it where it is. But if it is on the left, because there are more elements here, so in this case we don't change the alignment up or down. On this one we have to, because we have, you know, an extra one of these slots. We are going to adjust it by 62 units, so half of the icon height. And we are going to multiply this top select by a float, and we'll multiply it by 100. We will take away from this the alignment. Oop, not decrement. So it is float minus float. That is not what I wanted to do, but cool. Float minus float, there we go. And that goes into our Y. So this sets our alignment based on left stroke right. There we go. And just to make this a little bit neater, we'll put a reroute in. And we'll encapsulate that reroute there. There we go. All right, we're going to take all of this and we're going to collapse this down to a function called set equipment menu location. So set equipment menu location. And let's just move this up here. We will rename our input as slot. Let's go into here and let's just clean this up a bit. Put a lovely little return node in. Of course, we need to implement this somewhere, but we'll talk about implementing, sorry, not this. This we need to implement somewhere, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. So now that we've done that, let's just move this over here. We're going to put a reroute in because I know we're going to have other stuff, by the way. We want to get our menu. So our equipment menu. We want to set visibility to visible. Plug that into there. And we want to update menu. So what we're going to do is we will actually put a reroute into this. Line these up. Sorry, I realized when I try to do that, that I skipped a step in step 2. So go back to our equipment menu real quick. Let's create one more function, and this is our update menu function. It will have our dearest and oldest friend of index ref, which we all know by now is a type of float, right? No, it's an integer. It's an integer. We're going to promote this to a local variable, index. Actually, sorry, that's not a local variable. We're going to promote this to a variable called index ref, which we will store in placement, or categorize as placement. We will take our inventory actor. We will run get equipment info. We will do so at this particular index. There we go. And what we're going to do with this information, we're going to store it in our items detail. We set this up, and I said, oh yeah, we're going to set all this up in a moment, and then I totally blanked on it. My apologies. All right, put a return node in, compile, save, and I'm just going to take one moment, pause the video, and make sure that I haven't missed anything else from step 2. So on a quick review of my notes, I see I have not skipped anything else. Let's go back to our WBP inventory UI. And in their inventory UI, what we can do now is we can update menu. And where are we going to update it at? We're going to update it based on the slot that we are pulling from. So if we come down to the slot, while we have the reroute here, we can do index ref. And we can pass that information, I'm just going to move that to the right, over into our index here. Let's line those up. And we can save this. Now let's go back up to our setup inventory menus. We need to set up our menu still. And if you remember in section 2, I meant, oh yeah, we're going to have this plug into something else. And then I never did. And then we updated this, I think. Can't remember if I actually did that in this version of this recording or not. But we need to do either way, we need to do our equipment menu. So get the equipment menu, set up references. All right, that goes into there. And it should be pretty obvious where things go. Inventory actor goes into widget, right? Yeah, I'm full of jokes today. Aren't they just wonderful? I think I make more jokes when I've had a lousy tech day. All right, go ahead and save that. And then let's go down here with our set menu visibility. We want to, when we close the menus overall, hide our equipment menu. So we'll add that into there, tuck that down there. And as I said, we're going to have something here. Well, we're going to do our set equipment panel enabled as true here. All right, with that done, let's go back to our widget elements, equipment, and into our slot. In our slot is where we implement everything. So let's go to our graph. Let's get rid of this for now because we don't need it, but we do need to find our component. We need to find the EQ button itself, and on clicked, what we are going to do is take our our widget reference, and we are going to do move equipment menu. Where removing it is based on the slot. Well, what slot? The one we've just clicked. So this slot or self. All right, I don't know why I did it that way because we're gonna have a few reroutes coming off of this. All right, I'm gonna bring this down here. And what we want to do when we click on this slot is set our equipment panel and inventory panel to not be enabled. So set equipment panel enabled to false. Likewise, we're going to do the same for our inventory panel. So set inventory panel enabled to false, so we can't click anything on there. We might come back and actually remove this one, the equipment panel, just in case. And we're also going to take this and we're going to hide any display details. Now, why are we doing that? Well, we are doing that because, we might have moused over something on the inventory side and it might have opened up already. This is just to be on the safe side. All right, let's go ahead and test this and see if we've made any mistakes. I'm gonna hit play. Gonna walk over to our headset here, pick it up. Let's equip it. And if I click it, we have the menu. Discard info does nothing, but cancel should close it. And I can click there again. Notice I can't click anywhere here. Close it, reopen it, make sure that everything is enabled. And let's grab this meat cube here. All right, that works. I can't click the meat cube, I can't click here. I can hit cancel and it's all set up. Now really quickly, because I'm getting really bugged by something, I'm just gonna open up the character and I'm going to unplug our debug text from here. And I'm just gonna move this into our debug area. And that takes us through everything we need to do for this video. All right, this video and this series have been brought to you by my Patreon sponsors like Galois, 1Vault10, Connor, Rian, Quad Menson, and Hanas. If you've enjoyed this series, make sure to hit that like button down below. It really does help this channel out. And if you want to be here when we start finishing out our equipment system and then move on to our environment, make sure to hit the subscribe and notify icon. As always, I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.